Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Ana Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 54 of The Gavel, a podcast dedicating to bringing you the latest news on our quest for the end of government weaponization, as well as the most relevant news for our community regarding the mission for freedom here in Washington, D.C. I'm your host, Ana Toledo, an attorney that for over 30 years I have had litigating experience in civil rights, environmental, and First Amendment law. And now I am in DC fighting to end weaponization, torture, and lawfare. Today is Friday, May 29th, 2026. And this podcast constitutes a historic record of our fight to end the most cruel, illegal of programs that has ever existed, the Unacknowledged Special Access Program that is run by the CIA and the intelligence community. It is delivered to more than 6 million victims around the world, exported from the freest nation in the world. Here in America, we have more than 300,000 victims, of which only 23% know that they are targeted. My goal, as you know, is to expose this criminal program because once it's no longer covert, it cannot operate anymore. And that is exactly what is happening. Despite the criminals' attempts, not only have I been here for more than a year for you and for the world, but also we are making strides in the exposure of this program. So please, I ask that you like, share, and subscribe so that this podcast gets to the eyes and ears of those normies that don't even know that they could very soon be part of this program. Okay. This week, amazing things. It's very difficult for me to choose what I'm going to condense for you in this hour that we're going to be together because so many wonderful things are happening. And what I do want you to know is that your efforts, all the suffering that you have gone through it's not in vain. And it's only a little bit longer what I believe will take, but the exposure is inevitable and is happening. And we are in a very privileged position to be the leaders of this change that will benefit all of humanity. And if it's not done now, it'll never be done. Anyways, prior to beginning with the really great news that we have, I just wanted to let's invoke the Holy Spirit here because, there are evil forces that don't want us to be here. But it is precisely because of this God that is covering us and this beloved community that we are still here and we're not going anywhere. So this is from Psalm 103, verses 17, 18. It says, "But the mercy of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting on those who fear him, and his righteousness to children's children, to such as keep his covenant, and to those who remember his commandments to do them." So we have kept this covenant, and even though it's very difficult for those of you that read my mirror today, sometimes it's very difficult to keep those commandments. But the important thing is, like, if we get a little bit off the train, to get back on. I was delighted, and I thank all of you that gave me such valuable and graceful advice in the mirror that I published yesterday regarding the potty mouth. And it's just that when I think of the criminals, it's just all these. I don't have that much of a bad vocabulary, but all of it that I have just pops up because I cannot think anything but bad about them. But anyways, please share, like, and subscribe. And let's just go for the news today that are amazing. But before doing that, I want to share the Targeted Justice newsletter that Sean is so kind to create for us, for those of you that don't read it.
They implanted something in my head that's electromagnetic, and they've been doing this to me. Every time I think about going back in memory, like what hospital or where did they do this to me, and they shake my head.
There have been victims of government weaponization who have reported that they are experiencing involuntary muscle control. These victims have been located within the United States. We recommend checking your body for implants using the megaphone and electric massager pen. View our previous newsletters for details and instructions. If you are currently experiencing involuntary muscle contractions, please create a free account on our Targeted Justice newsletter Substack page and comment below so others can view it. Please do not email us this information. No matter rain, snow, storm, or shine, Targeted Justice will keep fighting for freedom every time.
Recently, the mailing platform of the TI1 voice tool has also permitted iCater to raise awareness for iCater's work and remote influencing technology victims' concerns with several European politicians who have contacted iCater expressing interest in our cause and declaring their intent of disseminating our information.
Hundreds of pages in the Epstein files are documenting the use of directed energy weapons and mind control technology. We need some volunteers to start compiling all of this information. This evidence can likely help court cases and lawsuits worldwide. If you want to help, please contact us.
This Targeted Justice account on TikTok is not us. We do not own or control this account whatsoever. They are illegally using our logo and pretending to be us. We previously had an account on TikTok, but they kept banning, blocking, and censoring us. For a full list of official Targeted Justice accounts across different social media platforms, please go to the following link.
We have a list of several prominent U.S. universities that have maintained dedicated research centers. They have focused on directed energy technologies, such as high-energy lasers, high-power microwaves, atmospheric propagation, and related applications for defense, space, and industrial uses. These are primarily funded or partnered with DoD entities like AFRL or JDETO.
Calling all digital warriors. Please share, repost, copy and paste this video on all social media platforms. We are still looking for volunteers. Let us know how you can help and the skill sets that you have by emailing us at tjustice2@proton.me. Put volunteer in the subject line. You can watch Targeted Justice videos by going to the following link. Buy some cool gifts, shirts, hoodies, cups, keychains, and more by heading to the following links. Please consider donating. Targeted Justice is non-profit, and the donations are tax deductible. Thank you again for watching this video. God bless. God bless. God bless. God bless.
Yeah, TikTok canceled our account, but I really don't know if it was TikTok or the criminals. Like, I try to log in, and sometimes I get like the information to log in, and so I don't know if it's the criminals with that they control, the phone and the computer and everything. I really don't know, But that certainly is not our account. And also the one, the Targeted Justice Support in Facebook, is not our account. And those people like to take your money and they like to scam you. So you should report them. I have written to TikTok. Let's see if they will reply. I don't have much hope in there, but yeah, it's just very, very difficult to deal with, because you don't know if it's them doing it or the social media platform. We'll see. Anyways, there is too many good news to tell you this week. So let's just start with the fact that Tulsi, she's leaving, but she's not going out quietly. The reporting is as follows: that she has a golden opportunity to advance government transparency by releasing the secret opinion of the FISA court documenting the FBI abuses to all the members of Congress, not just those in the Senate Select Intelligence Committee. But guess who is trying to block it? The Department of Justice, where the FBI criminals use the FISA information illegally obtained. Of course, DOJ is going to block it, and Todd Blanche. Described as violations of Americans and constitutional rights. Inexplicably, DOJ notified Congress in April that it is appealing the release of this crucial opinion describing how the FBI and other agencies violated laws or procedures governing Section 702. Congress has struggled for weeks to reauthorize Section 702. However, as you know, there are good members in there. We have Rand Paul, we have Senator Ron Wyden, we have Mike Lee, we have Thomas Massie that are fighting to include guardrails for the protection of the Fourth Amendment. Releasing the opinion would help the lawmakers realize that there has not been any rehabilitation of the FBI criminals, and to determine if they are still conducting the warrantless searches, which we all know it's the basis of the gang stalking. So next week, I'm going to be hitting Congress because these people need to know, why are they insisting on obtaining this information? It's not really to seek out terrorists, but to gang stalk law-abiding Americans. And that's the truth. And that's the truth that they need to know. It's very disappointing that some people, some congressmen just blindly do, like herd a sheep in a herd, what Mike Johnson tells them, because Mike Johnson is deep state. He's the one that was the deciding vote in 2024. Because of Mike Johnson, and obviously the rest that did the half plus one, FISA 702 was renewed in 2024. We cannot let it happen this time. The deadline is the June 18th. Remember that they gave a 45-day deadline, right? Okay. Well, Tulsi leaves supposedly on the 30th, right? So if she's going to declassify it, she has to do it before the 12th. Because if she does it afterwards and these people just go through and pass it, well, it's going to be like a futile victory, right? Of transparency. Anyways, an ODNI official said that she's actively working to declassify information about the COVID-19 I'm sorry. I just saw something, such a disturbing comment, and I just know it's the criminals trying to distract me, and I'm not going to. I will comment at the end if I remember. This is exactly why I tell you, do not repeat what the criminals of the V2K tell you, because you sound delusional, and because you only harm other people when you do that. And you harm yourself. So I will talk about that at the end, because the criminals want me to get off the lane, and I'm not going to. Anyways, so she's actively working to declassify about COVID, because we now know that whistleblower, I told you last week that the whistleblower said that the CIA was behind the whole COVID scenario and psyop. We now know that the vaccine has killed more people than COVID itself. And let's not talk about autism and the cancers and all of that. Anyway, so that's one thing that she's trying to declassify. Zero Hedge reported that these revelations will include these classifications of the Havana syndrome. Let's hope. Let's hope she declassifies and says it is the CIA criminals doing it. I don't know if she'll get to that place, but let's hope. Origins of COVID, the weaponization of the federal government under Democrat administrations, and the 2020 presidential election. So I really hope that in these 30 days, she puts out all the information for which the criminals were spying on her. We also have that Catherine Herridge reported this about what she is, about one of the things that she is going to declassify. Listen to this.
What I now understand is that there were serious and significant errors in judgment in the analysis, and that the analysis was inconsistent with the level of professionalism you would expect from the CIA. The report, I understand, did not address intention or motivation, but that was an issue to be addressed at a later date.
Intention or motivation? Wait a minute. How are you not going to look at it? Because I know Russia doesn't care about Ana Toledo or about you. It's the CIA. It's the intelligence community that created this program that we were their guinea pigs in order to roll it out to the population, which I'm going to show you in a little while how it's being rolled out. So anyways, if they gave her cancer, well, you know what? I hope that she says, you did this to me, I'm going to do worse to you. And that, you see, that's one of the really great lessons that the Lighthouse has taught me. When they really attack you and hurt you, you get back at them. Publish, go become a digital warrior. Go out there and publish things that is embarrassing to them. You can take all of Targeted Justice newsletters and just publish a snippet of it, and then put a clown picture with the CIA, get a meme and do a CIA meme with them. You know what? You get back at them, because if they're hurting you, you use the power of the digital warriors. Anyway, so speaking of criminals, let me show you what just came out yesterday, which I thought was fantastic. This is how imbecile and criminals these people are. Let me show you right here. A CIA criminal was arrested by the FBI. I say it's a proof of the clown show they have over there in that agency. The guy, he just, and I think this is great news because it is a complete mockery of what that agency is made of. Okay. This guy lied about his credentials. He said he went to university, graduated from university, and graduated from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. That was a lie. He lied about his military service. And then he was found with 303 gold bars in his home, worth $40 million. Now, he says that the gold bars were his compensation because he would get refunded for work expenses with gold bars. You know what? If that is the case, he is more of a criminal, aside from stealing and lying and all of that, because this is a completely invisible compensation. If the criminals at the CIA did pay him with gold bars, guess what? He's not the only one that needs to be indicted. The people that gave him those gold bars need to be indicted. Absolutely. So his name is David Rush. He has been charged with the theft of public money, according to the complaint filed in the Eastern District of Virginia. He's a former senior executive at a service level employee. at the CIA and had a top secret clearance. This is the kind of criminal that knows about the torture program and probably profits from it too. Yeah, he lied about everything. But I think that the most important aspect of this news is what a clown show the CIA is running. They're idiots. And that's why we have been able to survive, not only because of God's protection, but also because despite their gadgets, their tools, their weapons, they're not very smart. Anyways, there's another important, very good piece of news for the exposure that we are fighting so much for. New York Post mainstream media is reporting that the former Boston Globe and LA Times journalist, Alisa Valdez Rodriguez, who was covering the Zorro Ranch, she was attacked with directed energy weapons. And she is trying to run and hide. And I have been posting, and Targeted Justice, we've been posting, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide because these satellite weapons are going to find you anywhere. So this is what happened. She went into hiding after claiming she was targeted due to her reporting on Zorro Ranch. This woman, she's really smart. She has been uncovering major revelations about the Zorro Ranch, including the alleged plot to seed the human race with his DNA, a hidden burial site, and that Zorro Ranch may have been used to surveil two nearby U.S. nuclear weapons lab. She said on Thursday that she'll be fleeing the country after claiming her home was targeted in attacks by those she believes are unhappy about her Epstein reporting. Her key revelations are: she reported the construction of the Zorro Ranch by a government-linked contractor called Bradbury Stam that, casually, they don't build homes. They build nuclear plants. So why were these guys building Epstein's Zorro Ranch, right? With tunnels and everything. So the corporation's number appeared in Epstein contacts. She also revealed a surveillance and strategic location. The ranch sits roughly midway between two major U.S. nuclear weapons research facilities. She has reported on still active private microwave communications license. Does that ring a bell? Military grade equipment. Does that ring a bell? And possible use for surveying nearby labs. She exposed multiple claims of rapes and trafficking of young girls at the ranch. She has highlighted past failures by local federal authorities, alleged buried victims, and connections to high-level New Mexico officials. So this girl, she's brave. And she has also denounced ties to political figures, intelligence networks. This is why we have to hold on to the Epstein files like a pit bull to a bone. We cannot let go, and we need digital warriors to go explore these files, because there is a lot of information important for our community that needs to be exposed that was contained there. Remember, we're not going to stop fighting for the files from 1999 to 2001 because they are hiding the origins of 9/11 there. These criminals were all involved in it. Now, because of her reporting, she prompted new state investigations, including searches of the property with cadaver dogs and drones. So, in my opinion, this is really very positive because, like I told, I did a post tagging Catherine Herridge saying, how about this civilian victim of directed energy weapons? Are you not going to believe her because she doesn't fit the narrative of being a diplomat? I hope you can grasp how huge this is for our community, because this is a journalist with excellent credentials that they cannot call her crazy. And now they have to deal with her. So this is just really amazing. Yeah, I do watch the comments. And that's why I'm gonna stop here. I watched the comments as I in between my reading my news. But Arandita, I am gonna tell you, you do not come here to talk about euthanasia, because here we are warriors, that we are fighting for freedom, and we are Jesus soldiers. And if you are in that mentality, you're not welcome here. I'm sorry, I'll have to block you. So that talk I do not tolerate here. Absolutely no talk of suicide. Absolutely no talk of euthanasia, because God has given us the strength. And you can ask my friend Craig LaForest and my friend Lambert, Dr. Lambert. God has given us the strength to fight this with all our might, and we are going to prevail. So, anyways, let's hope that Catherine Herridge, now that a fellow journalist has been attacked, let's see if she gives up the Russian narrative and the whatever. Anyways, there, as you may have seen, that last week I talked about the weaponization fund that Trump had set up for victims of government weaponization, that even though the J6ers think it's only for them, it's not. Well, this is what happened today. Let me play it for you. If I can find it here. This is what happened today regarding that fund.
Breaking news now. A federal judge in Virginia temporarily blocking the president's nearly $1.8 billion fund for victims of government weaponization, and that's how he described it. U.S. District Judge Leonie Brinkema, I hope I'm saying this correctly, she handed down the order, and it stops the administration from doing anything with the fund while the judge hears additional arguments. So it's not a denial of it. It's just saying, let's just take a pause here. The Justice Department had announced the fund last week as part of an agreement to settle the president's lawsuit against the IRS. So that breaking news this morning, just a pause until the other judge rules on it altogether.
So the first thing that just doesn't seem to realize is that this fund was created as a settlement that was approved by a court of her same level. So she doesn't have a legal authority to reverse that. That's number one. Number two, there's three lawsuits happening. And this one in particular is former J6 prosecutors that are bemoaning the creation of the anti-weaponization fund. I don't think that they have standing, but the main plaintiff, his name is Andrew Floyd. He's a former assistant U.S. attorney in D.C. for 11 years, and he supervised the prosecutions related to January 6 Capitol events. He was terminated in June of 2025 without performance-based reasons, so they say. He says it's retaliation. And so they allege viewpoint discrimination because they cannot access the fund despite being allegedly targeted by this government. They don't care that they made up evidence, that they entrap people. I'm going to talk about that in a little while. And I'm going to tell you, I've been to hearings. I think this is the former prosecutor that was testifying. And these people, what shocks the conscience, which is it's the mind control. What shocks the conscience is that despite all the evidence that has come out, that I'm going to, like I said, talk about it, how it was pre-planned in August of 2025, of 2020 in the FBI field office, that, the entire entrapment thing, they really believe that the J6ers are criminals. I mean, these people are convinced of that. And I went to that hearing, and when I heard that guy, I said, but what about all the evidence that has come out, all the video footage, everything that has come out? These people, I don't think that it's not that they haven't watched it. I think that they are just completely mind control, which proves that this program has been rolled out to everybody in the population. Anyway, so they're alleging viewpoint discrimination. And then there's another case that was filed by the Capitol Police. I don't think it's going to go anywhere either. It's called Dunn versus Trump, and that's in the District of Columbia. Then there's a third case, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, D.C. versus Department of Justice. And I really don't, and that one is even the weakest one, because they really don't have standing to sue, in my opinion. the complaint hinges on political question, which is a doctrine that says that courts have to abstain from those decisions that are, a political question, that are carried out by the executive branch. Anyway, so more shall be revealed, but I have to inform you, I did send a letter to Todd Blanche. Not that I have much hope that he will grant me the meeting I am asking for, but I am asking a meeting specific, not to ask for damages, but specifically to demand the removal from the weaponized handling codes 3 and 4 from the terrorist screening database, all of the non-investigative subjects, because the FBI criminals know that they are not, that they have no reasonable suspicion, and they do not represent a threat to national security. I'm going to be following up on that. Again, I have no hope because I think that Todd Blanche is part of the problem. But then you also have the Senate actors that are trying to fight back the compensation fund. Among these is Tom Tillis, that he looks like a deranged woke Democrat. I don't understand, what's up with him. But anyways, he's supposedly a Republican from North Carolina. He says that the fund is a payout pot for punks, stupid on stilts, and absurd. That's one. Then John Thune is against it too. I think that John Thune's days are numbered because he is blocking the Save America Act, but he's also skeptical about it. By the way, the good news that I forgot to include it here, but we should all celebrate that Corning is out of the race in Texas, and that Ken Paxton, who is a really awesome guy, won the primary. And I want to remind you that I had gone to Senator Corning's office with Dr. Priester in Targeted Action 2025, and his staff kicked us out of his office because they weren't interested in talking to us. And so I want to say that vengeance is our Lord's. He probably did that to many other people that were in the right side of history. And guess what, Corning? Your time's up. And so will be the time for those that do not do the right thing and free targeted individuals. Anyway, brain fried Mitch McConnell obviously is opposed to. Katie Britt from Alabama, Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, and Susan Collins, she questioned the legal basis. Anyways, I think she's targeted too because her head goes like that. I really think she's got some directed energy weapon issue, but I delivered in her office the Havana Syndrome Civilian Registry, and I also delivered the sworn statements of the victims that have been diagnosed. So if she doesn't want to read them, she's going to be, that's her problem, really, because she is in the health committee. Anyways, so another important issue that is coming this week is that FISA 702 is, there was a 45-day, all eyes are on FISA 702. There was a 45-day postponement of its expiration, like a temporary renewal. And conservatives are continuing to press for reforms during the negotiations to reauthorize Section 702 of the FISA Act. Remember, this is why Tulsi wants to declassify that FISA court opinion, and DOJ is pressuring to keep it quiet and not show it to the rest of Congress. Breitbart reported that many conservatives continue to push for amendments that would drastically reform the surveillance authority and protect Americans' privacy. Many of these amendments were offered in April during the last FISA reauthorization negotiations and are being offered for a long-term extension of Section 702. Representative Andy Biggs from Arizona, who has been an ardent proponent of the amendments to protect the Fourth Amendment, he offered an amendment that would require the warrant to prevent the backdoor searches of Americans' communications, with exceptions for probable cause or other exceptions to the warrant requirement. The exceptions covered exigent circumstances such as terrorism, cybersecurity, or an imminent foreign threat that the Trump administration or the other administrations have put forward as examples of importance. I'm going to talk about that in a little while, because here's the problem. Once you're designated a terrorist, well, then they can continue. I don't think this is such a strong amendment, because then they can continue doing the backdoor searches. If they did it without reasonable suspicion, then this is completely bogus. So we have to look into that. I have been to Big's office and he has refused to meet with me, but I'm going to go knock again next week. So Representative Warren Davidson from Ohio also offered an amendment that saying the Fourth Amendment is not for sale act. So it will ban buying sensitive personal data from shadowy data brokers. Remember, we also have Rand Paul's proposed statute and Ron Wyden's proposed statute. So I think that it's going to be an intense discussion. And I think that good things are going to come out of it. I really believe it. So this is no time for you to sit down and wait for things to happen. This is the time for you to write to your representative and your senator and explain to them in their contact form. The best way to do it is through their contact form, because it's harder for the criminals to hack, and do it in a public computer. What did you do today to end your targeting? Well, this week you're going to go. Don't do it Monday. Do it Tuesday, because Monday they come back. I have learned that Mondays and Fridays, they are not there. And yeah, their staffers might be there. But if you send it over the weekend, the criminals might clean up their servers. So do it Tuesday through Thursday. Go to their contact form and write to them. Did you know that those backdoor searches under 702 of FISA are used to stalk, harass, spy on, and break into the homes of law-abiding Americans illegally placed on a terrorist list by the FBI? That is its purpose. FISA Section 702 has never been used or has never served to stop an act of terrorism. You can write that, investigate. Okay? So that's the thing we're going to be focusing on next week, because aside from, as you know, we are working, bringing information regarding the pending MK Ultra hearings, that they are not going away. And thank you to all of you that have written to the address I provided last week. If you don't know it, go to my last week's episode and check it out. And make a very intelligent outline. Do not exceed page and a half, because I won't read it. Single space, when I get an email of 3 pages, 4 pages, single space, I can't, it overwhelms me. And this I learned it from the Lighthouse. If you write more than page and a half, they're not going to read it. You lose their attention. Okay. Now, this is what I told you I was going to talk about. This is just really, to me, it's so, thank you, Roth. Okay, here. This is something that I don't think it can be President Trump doing this. Because they are so before, yeah, we know that targets are from all political parties, but our statistics state that it's mostly conservatives, Christian, and women, right? So now with the Presidential Directive 7, people that are left-wingers are being classified as domestic terrorists, even if they don't engage in conduct that is terroristic, like us, right? And for example, now anybody who opposes these data centers that consume so much energy and so much water, they are being declared violent extremists. They even created a term for them: anti-tech violent extremism. And what is really concerning about this is that this is legitimate exercise of your First Amendment rights in opposing this kind of operation next door to your house or in your town. It's like let's say a toxic waste dump. Nobody wants that. No, not in my backyard. Nobody wants that in their backyard. And so more than 1,000 pages of unpublished reports from the Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and fusion centers that Wired magazine obtained show a national shift taking place to surveil this new and worryingly broad category of people and activities deemed an emerging threat. This new effort follows President Donald Trump's National Security Presidential Memo 7, which instructs the Department of Justice to target anyone holding anti-American, anti-Christian, and anti-capitalism beliefs. Earlier this month, Trump's counterterrorism czar, Sebastian Gorka, who is an abominable creature, he's not even American, released a public counterterrorism strategy claiming that left-wing extremists are one of the 3 top counterterrorism priorities facing the United States. Look, I'm not woke and I'm not left-wing, but I am an attorney that respects and honors the First Amendment. And this is a very dangerous territory where they're going. Taken together, these Trump administration directives have commandeered the domestic surveillance apparatus to surveil and criminalize speech and assembly. Now, why is this good for us? And this, even though it's very, very scary, and I'm going to share with you a man that was just arrested for organizing a protest. I mean, I could see myself organizing a protest against a data center, but now, no, because, I'm already on the list, right? But this that I'm going to show you, it's really very scary. I would not talk to the police like he did, but I would first ask for a warrant. But let me just show you what is going on with this situation, and this is how it's being rolled out. Not like J6ers was a group of 1,300 people that they did an experiment on them, boom, at the same time. Now they're rolling this out to the rest of the population, and then probably everybody will be in handling code 4. But then if they are too much of a troublemaker, they're going to start a torture on them. And that is when the tide is going to, it's going to turn. Let me just share this with you. I want you to listen to this guy because I was just in absolute state of shock when I saw this.
Punks right here came by because I'm trying to organize a community protest against a representative who's trying to push in a data center owned by a out-of-state company, trying to suck up all our energy. I made a post. I made an event on Facebook trying to organize the community to get together. And what's your badge number? Name and badge number?
Detective Henson.
And name and badge number?
Sure. SHRP and it's 160.
Okay. Yeah.
So
no, I have a First Amendment right to protest. And if I organize a protest on a public road, there's nothing wrong with that. I sent an email to that representative and I can show you the email. I never made a threat. I told no, this is my house and I'm going to talk. Sure. You guys are on my property trying to intimidate me because I'm organizing a protest against a data center. Then why are you here?
Well, that's if you let me. Okay, so first off, do you want to talk about this?
Talk about what? There's nothing to talk about. I'm organizing a protest and I'm allowed to do that. It's a First Amendment protected activity.
110%.
Yeah.
The issue is some of the communication, the Facebook posts. I would disagree that there's.
I haven't made a single threat. Tell me what threat I made.
Okay. Well, you know what you posted.
No, give me quote me. Quote a threat because I didn't make one. I'm organizing a protest on a public street, demanding a representative.
What about the safety of his children?
Huh?
What about the safety of his children?
Someone else made a comment about the safety of his children.
Did you?
No.
You didn't?
No, what I said if he valued his children's safety, he probably wouldn't be trying to ruin the world that they're being brought up on. And that isn't a threat. That's the fact that I'm watching this man ruin the world around here. And yes, I'm allowed to say that if someone cares about their kids, they shouldn't destroy the community that their kids are being raised in. That's not a threat.
The problem is you didn't say that in the post.
Yes, I did.
You did not.
Pull it up. Pull it up and read it. Pull it up and read it.
I've been dealing with this all afternoon.
Cool. Pull it up and read it.
Okay. So that's the concerning part is obviously, yes, you have the right to make an event. You have the right to public protest, everything else, right? But
I never made a threat.
Okay. Well, we disagree and our state's attorney disagrees. Okay. So you're going to be charged today for a couple of offenses.
Seriously? I'm going to get charged for what?
For stalking and intimidation.
For stalking? When did I ever go to his house?
So we'll explain it to you more. Okay. So you are going to be placed under arrest right now. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So
Let me
conclude your live stream.
Wow.
We need you to stay here with.
This is so scary. This is so scary that I cannot, if this administration is doing this, I think it's just so scary. But bear in mind the following. A Gallup poll concluded that 70% of Americans oppose data centers. That means that they're going to have to classify 70% of the population as technology extremists. And it's just gonna, like everything the criminals do, it's going to backfire. Criminals, you're so stupid. Anyways, I'm very sad for what they did to that man, but again, the good part is that it's going to be a force. Let me just show you. It's going to be a force of unity. Okay, because the entire population is going to realize that everyone is an extremist pursuant to the government, and that has to stop. That's the moment when they're going to stop criticizing targeted individuals because they will have become one. So they're going to push back, and we're not going to be fighting solo. Normies are going to join our fight against this illegal classification of domestic extremists made to without reasonable suspicion to anyone who dares oppose the current government. Anyways, this is really great news here. The FBI, the entire criminality of the FBI entrapping J6ers. And please remember, J6ers are a really important stepping stone on the exposure of all the criminality from A to Z. We already know that the insurrection was planned on August of 2020 in the Boston field office. I don't know why those criminals are not accused, indicted yet. Then right after the election, they started the surveillance mechanism, the DHS and the FBI spying on these people, going into their Reddits, into all their social media. Okay. Then comes the J6 and as you know, Judicial Watch succeeded in getting the body camera footage that proves that these people were not being violent, that these people were abused, they were beat up, they were thrown off ledges. And now, so the entire narrative completely shifted, okay? And now Kash Patel has released all the records of what has been slowly exposed that the FBI orchestrated January 6th like a Hollywood movie. Newly unsealed FBI documents just dropped by Director Patel confirmed the unthinkable. The feds planned and staged the entire insurrection 5 months in advance. Remember, because there is already evidence that the election was stolen. After they took all the money from Rudy Giuliani, well, the evidence is there. Now, while the DNC was actively plotting to overthrow the criminals. Just mind control somebody that should not be calling me, but I'm just gonna ignore it, and I ask that you do the same. Okay, so while the DNC was actively plotting to overthrow the US government if Trump won, Christopher Wray had 274 undercover federal agents embedded in the crowd. Remember that he told Congress under oath that there were no FBI agents there. That man needs to be indicted and in prison for treason. They were dressed as Trump supporters before the doors even opened. I read that one of the ways that they identified each other was by putting the hat backwards. You know, the MAGA hats. They infiltrated chat rooms, social media, and activist groups for months, planting the suggestions of violence and steering people straight into the Capitol. Capitol Police footage shows officers literally waving people inside. It wasn't a riot. It was a government entrapment operation against American citizens, just like they have done to many of us. But this was on a massive scale. They experimented on us with these entrapment tactics and mind control. And then they unleashed it on a massive scale on January 6th. But God is greater than everything. Even though 4 took their lives, and I know of some that have the voices, the truth is coming out. And justice, and that's why the J6ers are so important for the exposure that we seek, because they are the ones that now obtain the evidence of the criminality at the FBI. Okay? This is not bluffing. Now, get a load of this. This is the best news that I have read. 7 whistleblowers, 7 of the planted FBI agents are willing to testify in exchange for immunity to avoid prosecution. This is the most amazing gift we can have, because if these 7 agents can connect the dots from, you remember those coloring books that had the numbers from 1 to 30, and the entire face of Christopher Wray is drawn in there, that he was behind actually the deep state, but he was their puppet. So this is amazing. This is really amazing. Okay. And more shall be revealed. So now the other good news is that, and I'm going to share here with you, Dominic Halping's documentary has been making the round the news, and not just the news, but also it was covered in Kim Everson's. Let me share this screen with you. It was shared, and I'm going to share with you the link in case that you want to see it. She played 9 minutes from his documentary. And this is huge because our cause is going mainstream, and it's amazing. Okay. So I'm going to put it here in the chat, and I'm going to put also in the chat, because I want you to share it, the translations of the documentary that Sean has been so amazing making them. I'm going to put them in a little while. Please remember, here are all the translations. Please, if you know people in these countries that are targeted, share it with them, and let's just spread the word. This needs to stop being, it's no longer covert, right? But it needs to stop. Okay. So thank you, Sean, for the amazing work you have been doing. Now, Privacy Act request. It's not in vain. The reason why I have been insisting that you send your Privacy Act request is because I'm going to be filing that lawsuit to force the FBI and the DHS to answer our Privacy Act requests. And I want the most people possible to have sent yours also. And I'm working on two very important things with Dr. Lambert, because as you know, Dr. Lambert demanded from NIH and CDC that they recognize and issue guidance for the diagnosis of anomalous health incidents in civilians. They already issued it for federal employees, but they are discriminating against civilians. So I have a very special request for all of you that tonight, before going to sleep, you include my friend and warrior, Dr. Lambert, in your prayers, because he's being so amazing and so effective in this fight that we're waging, that they're severely attacking him. So I ask you, I humbly ask you that you pray for him, that God cover him in his divine protection. He suffers like you have no idea. And he's very courageous. And he's our warrior. Just like the lighthouse too. Anyways, remember at noon, the intention time. Jim is reminding people about it. On X, if you're not on X, please remind people at noon Eastern time. It has been corroborated that when a group, whether they are one in China and one in Puerto Rico, when there is a group intention, it can help to move mountains. I want to thank you for your amazing support. I have to amend my my campaign, my fundraising campaign, because as I've told you, I'm not leaving here until the last weapon is shut off, not just for those in the United States, but for everyone around the world. I'm not leaving here. And I count on you for that because, as you know, I devote my entire time to working for targeted justice. But for you, I would not be here serving you. And I really appreciate it. Now, I'm going to address that person that said that horrible comment. And I am warning you, don't you ever come into my space to talk about suicide or about euthanasia. Because we are warriors and because God is covering us. And I know that the suffering is horrific. I just told you about my beloved dear friend, Dr. Bear, and other people that I know are suffering. But there is not a single one of you should be contemplating surrendering to these criminals. Ask God for help, for support, for strength. But when you succumb to the criminals' torture, you are giving them a win. And you're not a loser, you're a winner. You're a fighter, you're a warrior. So do not ever dare anybody write anything like that here again, because I'm going to block you. Go somewhere else, talk about that. Okay? Thank you so much. And I'm sorry I have to be so harsh, but this is tough love, I just kind of conceive when I see somebody like my beloved friend, Dr. Bear, whose torture I have witnessed, because I have seen it in person. And he still continues to fight because he's fighting for everybody's freedom to get recognized Havana syndrome on civilians. Because once that is recognized, guess what? It's inevitable that they have to go to the second step. Who is doing it? Who is doing it to civilians? Who is doing it to little 3-year-old girls, to 5-year-old girls that say they have no quiet time in their heads? You see? So, anyways, thank you so much for being here. And please do not miss next week, because guess what? Next week is going to be amazing. There's going to be a lot of things happening in Congress, and I'm going to have a boatload of information for you. So please do not miss it. I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing you. And, I just want you to know this is the highlight of my week, coming to talk to you about the great news that are happening in our quest for ending modern day torture. So I hope to see you next week, and God bless you all.